Hello, my name is Bernadette Frugier, and I'm Teacher of the Year at Bell Place Middle School in Noir, Louisiana. The lesson that you will be looking at concerns colonial Louisiana and the Code Noir or Black Code. Students worked during the week with two texts and put that work to use in a Socratic seminar where they explored the text deeper through higher level thinking questions. Students worked together with partners and then conducted the discussion in 10-minute blocks to discover deeper meaning within the text. I hope you enjoy what you're about to see. Thank you.
Actually took about 10 minutes, so I'm going to give the second round 10 minutes too, unless it just seems like y'all have it wrapped up and we don't need it, okay? So let's see here. My leader, all right? Everybody else ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Tom, go ahead.
Connect the different roles of the triangle to the roles that Quinn played during her life. Quinn, I think she was a perpetrator because on line 36 and 37, it says Quinn bought slaves to work for her as her own health began to fail. By this time, she was in her 50s and had survived 15 childbirths. I think that she was a perpetrator because she was a slave herself and she's putting other people through the pain and suffering that she went through. And yeah, that's it.
But she also played a victim as well because in lines 32 through 35 it says, as a free woman, Quinn earned a living as a nurse, a planter of tobacco, and one thing. It says, after Quinn was persecuted by a Spanish priest for having a relationship with Noir without being married, which is in lines 23 to 24.
Also, I'd like to add how she was a victim. She was also a victim because she was born when slavery was a thing, like when it was like, yeah. And then she also had a relationship with Matoya. Yeah, Matoya. I would also like to do lines 2. It says, Marie Quinn Matoya was born approximately 742 to enslaved African parents who were owned by the founder of Methodist St. Denis.
I agree, but I would like to add on that she was also upstander because it says on line 20, it says, Quinn negotiated this inequality. So it was trying to show that she was speaking up because she knew this wasn't fair, that they got no freedom and they had no religious freedom, so she tried to speak up for it and say, have a voice in it.
Quinn was also upstander because on lines 45 through 47, it says entrepreneur, farmer, and medicine woman. She set an example of thrift, courage, and industry that helped her children for generations. Therefore, that example is Quinn's legacy.
I would agree to that, but I would say she was also an upstander because she, on lines 43 to 47, it says that she was a complex person, a black woman struggling to survive in a society that measured worth by skin color. A successful interpreter, farmer, and medicine woman, she set an example of swift courage and industry that helped her children for generations. After that example is Quinn's legacy.
And I would like to add on, or you can still remember.
This can show us that she was a very determined person throughout, even though she was a black person and a slave back then.
I would like to also add on with some evidence how she was a hero. It says, lines 32 to 35, it says, as a free woman, Quinn earned a living as a nurse, a planter of tobacco, and as a trapper. She sold meat as the post of Methodist. In 1794, she applied for the Spanish land grant and received about 750 acres of land west in Canada. She used most of the land as cattle range or
Actually,
I agree, but I would like to add on in lines 37 and 38. She played the role as an upstander or hero because it says by the time she divided her property amongst her children. So that means that like all her property she gave to her children, which could have helped them back then.
She also played the role of the perpetrator on lines 36 and 37. It says Quinn bought slaves to work for her as her own mental health began to fail. By this time, she was in her 50s and survived 15 childbirths. This shows that she was buying studies which shows her being for her.
Quenquer was also playing victim because on line 23 to 24 it says, after Quenquer was persecuted by a Spanish priest for having a relationship with Matoyer. Without being married, he purchased her and their children from the daughter of St. Dennis.
I agree, Roxy. Would you like to add on?
I would. So technically, she was also a bystander because on the triangle slide, a bystander is classified as a person who observes bad behavior. The bystander knows the behavior is destructive or even evil, but the bystander does nothing to stop what happens. And so the destructive behavior here would be slavery. But however, Quenquin does nothing to stop it, but she in fact helps it process, because in lines 40 to 42, it says she had compassion as a mother and slave owner. However, she was still a slave owner, and so she helped slavery prosper.
In lines 44, it shows how she was also an upstander and victim, because it says, struggling to survive in a society that measured worth by skin color, a successful interpretative form and medicine woman, she set an example of thrift, courage, and industry that helped her children.
Connect Quenquer to other events and individuals that we have discussed in class this year.
I would connect Quenquer to Martin Luther King because she was an inspiring person just like Martin Luther King, and set up a way for her children to go on in their lives as a way for her to go. But she was shown to have slaves in her, but so she was shown to be a victim. So I would compare it to Emmett Till also.
I would like to connect this to the French and Spanish times when the Africans had came, because according to line 6 it says, however, her parents retained much of their African culture, and Africans also played a part in creating Louisiana, like a gumbo.
I agree. Amore, would you like to say something?
I agree with the Margaret because Quenquer connects Emmett Till because they were both victims. According to lines 18 through 20, it states there appears to be a relationship grounded in some degree of affection and respect, but it was a relationship of unequals. How Quenquer negotiated this inequality is not known. This shows how Quenquer was a victim.
Quenquer also connects to the Holocaust because Quenquer was mistreated because she was a slave and for color. And then the Jews were also mistreated and getting killed just because of their race.
I agree. I would like to connect that to also the Emmett Till case because he was also mistreated and had no say-so because of his religion and race.
I think we talked about Ruby Bridges in one of our past days. I think Quenquer and Ruby Bridges can be connected because they were both mistreated because of their color. Abigail, would you like to add on?
Yeah, I agree with Ty because they were mistreated because of their color. Because on line 23, after Quenquer was persecuted by the Spanish priest having a relationship with Matoyer without being married, they treated her differently because she had a relationship with a white man, and that was not allowed back then, and that treated her differently.
I agree, Gavin. Would you have anything to add? I agree, and I can connect it to Emmett too because they both faced racial injustice, except Quenquer did not get killed because of it, but she was persecuted by many people for having a relationship. But Emmett Till actually got killed due to his race.
And also Quenquer was also was beaten to death, or not to death, beaten because she was a slave, and that's also how she was connected to Emmett Till, because of the race.
I agree with Lexi. They also connected because they were both mistreated because Emmett Till was beaten and killed, and Quenquer was mistreated because she was a slave.
I agree that she was mistreated because she was an African American woman married to a white man.
high grade that you agree?
Well, I feel like likewise to Columbus because he was upstanding just like Columbus was. When Columbus did, he was 12. He was upstanding because he stayed the land of America. And Clark was upstanding when they said other free women, Clark and the life, living as a nurse. My plan took to black women as a trapper. She still lead at the coast of Methodist. In 1794, she applied for a Spanish land grant and received about 650 acres of land just as the River. She used most of the land of cattle range as the cattle range. Then she was
I agree, Gavin, do you agree?
I agree. I'd like to go back because it shows that she was just an upstander because it says on her, it says in line 17 and 18, it says on her part she remained with him for a decade after she became a free woman, so that means she could have left and not faced that racial injustice, but she decided to stay.
Time?